Hey everyone! Think you know everything about the animal kingdom? Well, buckle up, because today I'm going to blow your mind with some of the most insane, unbelievable animal facts that sound completely made up, but are 100% real. We're talking about animals that can survive in space, creatures that literally never die, and one that's so weird it defies everything you thought you knew about biology. Let's dive in. First up, let me introduce you to the most indestructible creature on planet Earth, the tardigrade, also known as the water bear. And yes, they're called water bears because under a microscope they look like tiny, chubby bears waddling around. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. These microscopic creatures can survive literally anything. I'm talking about being frozen at nearly absolute zero. That's negative 272 degrees Celsius. They can handle temperatures over 150 degrees Celsius, which would boil water. They can survive pressure 6 times greater than the deepest ocean trenches. But wait, it gets crazier. Scientists have sent tardigrades into space, into the vacuum of space, with no protection, exposed to deadly cosmic radiation. And you know what happened? They survived. They came back to Earth, got a little water, and just woke up, like nothing happened. How is this possible? When conditions get tough, tardigrades enter a state called cryptobiosis. They essentially dry out, retract their legs, and shut down their metabolism to almost zero. They can stay like this for decades. One tardigrade was revived after 30 years in a freezer. Think about that. This creature was frozen before the internet existed, and it just woke up good as new. Okay, next up, what if I told you there's a creature that literally cannot die of old age? Meet Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish. Here's how insane this is. When most creatures get old, sick or injured, they die. Not this jellyfish. When it faces stress, injury or old age, it just says nope and reverses its aging process. It transforms back into its juvenile polyp stage, basically turning itself back into a baby, and then grows up again. It can do this indefinitely, forever. It's biologically immortal. Imagine if humans could do this. You're 80 years old, feeling tired, so you just reverse back to being a teenager and start over. That's essentially what this jellyfish does. Now they can die from being eaten by predators or from disease, but aging. That's not in their vocabulary. Scientists are actually studying these jellyfish to understand cellular regeneration, and who knows, maybe one day this research could help with human aging and disease. The craziest part? These jellyfish are so small, about 4.5 millimeters, that they could be literally everywhere in the ocean, constantly cycling through life, death and rebirth, and we'd barely notice them. All right, animal number 3 is going to sound like something out of a superhero movie. The PistolShrimp, also called the snapping shrimp. This little crustacean, only about 2 inches long, has one of the most powerful weapons in the entire animal kingdom. It has one oversized claw that it can snap shut so fast that it creates a bubble. Now, you're probably thinking, so what? It makes bubbles. But this isn't your average bubble bath situation. When this bubble collapses, it creates a shock wave that reaches speeds of 60 miles per hour and produces a sound that hits 210 decibels. To put that in perspective, a jet engine at takeoff is about 150 decibels. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. For a fraction of a second, like less than a millionth of a second, the collapsing bubble reaches temperatures of about 4,700 degrees Celsius. That's nearly as hot as the surface of the sun. The sun! This tiny shrimp is creating solar temperature plasma bubbles in the ocean to stun its prey. The flash of light produced is called sonoluminescence, and scientists are still studying exactly how this happens. This little shrimp is basically wielding a tiny underwater sun gun. Oh, and these snaps are so loud that they can interfere with submarine sonar. A 2-inch shrimp is messing with military technology. Respect. Last, but definitely not least, let's talk about nature's ultimate mimic, the lyrebird. This Australian bird doesn't just copy other bird calls. It can imitate almost any sound it hears with shocking accuracy. We're talking chainsaws, car alarms, camera shutters, crying babies, and even construction sounds. There are recordings of lyrebirds perfectly mimicking the sound of a camera with a motor drive, flute music, and even human speech patterns. During the Australian bushfires, researchers heard lyrebirds mimicking fire alarms and emergency sirens they'd heard during evacuations. One famous lyrebird named Chook could imitate the sound of workers and machinery from a nearby timber mill. The males do this to impress females during mating season, creating elaborate soundscapes that can include 20 different species calls plus environmental sounds, all woven together into a single performance. They're basically nature's DJs, sampling everything around them to create the ultimate mixtape. So there you have it. 4 animals that are basically living proof that reality is stranger than fiction. If you enjoyed these wild facts, smash that like button, subscribe for more mind-blowing content, and drop a comment telling me which fact blew your mind the most. See you in the next one.